I'd like to call the meeting to order. First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's meeting. Board members are all present. Notices have been posted. Would you please stand for the pledge of allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Cody, would you retrieve the sign-in sheet? Thank you. I have one member that would like to talk to the board, Mr. Roman.
Ed Roman, 225 North State Street here in Chilton. Faculty member on the staff. Over the course of the past few weeks, we have heard numerous delegations that have come forth to express their opinions on what they feel is best for Chilton Public School District. All these people are well-intentioned citizens that are trying to help because they value the importance of having a quality school system in the very heart of their community. We are indeed blessed. But I do caution each one of us, the business of running a school district is very unlike its regular business counterparts that coexist in our communities today. Most of us would never even think of stepping forward at a corporate board meeting and offering our suggestions to the CEOs in charge. We would feel that we are too far removed from the heartbeat of the company and would not know what changes might be made in their behalf. The disconnect would be too far a venture. Yet, each one of us here has spent our formative years as students in schools, growing up in a school community and feeling part of the culture of a school. We then take that and we duplicate those experiences, and we become parents, and yet we begin another tour of duty, as it were, through the school system. Suddenly we think that we have a better understanding of what the problems are to confront our schools because we feel part of it. Now, I'm not saying this is a totally bad thing. We certainly do need active participants in our school system. But I do caution all of us to step back and allow the structure that we have already set in place to guide our course. This community has elected board members. We've got Corey, we've got Randy, we've got Larry, we've got Jerry, and recently retired Paul. And they make decisions on behalf of the school system. In turn, these board members then hire trained professionals like Dr. Martin and her administrative staff to run the business of our public school system. I cannot imagine how undervalued these people must feel after the public comments and potshots that I have heard during the last few weeks. I have sat back and listened, and I finally felt I had to step forward in their support. They, meaning Claire and Lisa and Becky and Tim and Rich and Pam, are not really bad people. They are hardworking people devoted to the cause of quality education. They are not overpaid compared to others in the industry, and they are deserving of a much better treatment than they are getting. I realize in private industry, when a business is losing money, it would be indeed proper to consider cleaning house on top or cutting administrative salaries to penalize the leadership. But in our school district's case, none of our administrators, to my understanding, has made any decision that has adversely affected our financial situation. In many regards, our financial hands are tied by declining enrollments and the state legislature that sets ever-increasing rules that we must follow. I do strongly urge the community to embrace a sensible referendum structure that will allow us to keep these necessary educational leaders from year to year and to not cut staff and programs. My understanding is that the average homeowner would see an increase in taxes that would closely equate to my wife Deb and I going out for a nice dinner and a movie, probably with buttered popcorn. Are not our schools worth this extra attention? In conclusion, I'd like to thank the Board of Education and administrative team for keeping budget reductions as far away from the classroom door as possible. These certainly are not easy times. We continue to trust that you will be supportive of all of our teachers as we carry out that mission statement. On behalf of the 83 teachers in the CEA, I do thank the board and the administrative staff for your continued support for educating our youth, providing the resources that are necessary to do so. Together, our success will be hinged on cooperation and dialogue to solve the problems that are immediately before us, as well as those that had not even surfaced yet. I appreciate for allowing me to express my opinions today.
Thank you, Mr. Woolman, for the well-written letter to the board. It's appreciated when we get a letter and when somebody puts their name on it. All of us board members have received letters without names. It's a shame that people go through the work of writing the letter and then don't put their name on it. I mean, we can't address their issue or their concern if they're not signing. But thanks, Ed. Well done. If anybody else wants to address the board that didn't get a chance to sign in, now would be the time. Okay, seeing nobody stepping forward, at this time I would ask Mr. Paul Meyer to step forward. We have a plaque of recognition for Paul for your many years of service to the Board of Education and to the school district, and for all the hard work you've done and for coaching over the years. You definitely will be missed. Your plaque reads, School District of Chilton recognizes Paul R. Meyer for years of dedication, continuous service from 1997 through 2011 on the Chilton Board of Education, 2012. So again, thanks again, Paul, and good luck with everything. Next in our delegation section, we have an acceptance of a gift from the AFS Adult Chapter.
Nice to be volunteer.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mary O'Leary, and I'm president of the Adult AFS Chapter, and this is my husband, Ken Philo. This sign kind of came about because somebody's grandmother came into the library and asked who all the students were that were hanging on the wall. There's pictures of, as of today, 80 exchange students from AFS has hosted over the years from 1963. So we thought we thought we needed to put a sign up identifying these students, and she thought they were maybe senior high school students. So anyway, and this summer we lost Gail, one of our
our most enthusiastic supporters, and the Engler family has been so generous with AFS, so thank you, Bill, through the years. They gave another gift to us this year, and all the scholarships are given out every year for any student who wants to go abroad. AFS pays sometimes up to 40%, depending on how many students are going. And this year we have Kayla Moss, and she's going to Italy in maybe a week. Wednesday. Okay. Yeah, and she'll be going over there. And our family has really enjoyed everything to do with AFS. We've hosted twice, and we've had 2 girls go down to South America. So anyway, we're going to hang this sign with all the other 80 students right now. And we also want to put a special thanks out to Tim Meyer. Tim retired as our student advisor, but he made all the frames for all the 80 students, plus more to come. So that's why we kind of put this into the future, because this program has gotten so much support from the Chilton community, the Chilton high school and staff and teachers and the school board. I think it's a wonderful, I never had this in my high school, and I think it's just been a wonderful opportunity for the students and the students here who get exposed to these kids, and the students who get to go, and it's just a great thing that your community supports us so much. So if I've forgotten anything, Karen Schutte is our AFS advisor for starting this year, and we've got our 2 students. They can stand up. Doni is from Indonesia, and he's with our family, and Julie is with the Wallachheims, and she's from Norway. And Lisa Wallachheim is here with her daughter Mackenzie, and we've got Janine Van Horn, who's been involved for so many years, and she's our treasurer, and Linda Auger is also sent her daughter abroad and has been involved. And these people, not only Gail, but there's been so many people who have given so much time and effort and financial support to this organization. So this is kind of a thank you.
I'd just like to say a few things. First of all, this is very kind of you, Mary, and the chapter to pay this tribute to Guido. CFS was extremely meaningful to her. When we came to Chilton in 1961, you know, she was from Madison, and she said, well, what can I do in Chilton? She said, I'm going to at least help get started an AFS chapter. And in 2 years, she was able to do that, and it's lived ever since. But it's taken the cooperation of the school district, particularly, to support it, and the community, which so many of you have contributed to, both in your family and time and money, and it's meant that the program could continue. And it hasn't just touched lives, it's influenced lives tremendously in ways that are really hard to measure. It's an event in your life that is an altering thing. It changes a lot of your perspectives. And by walking together and talking together as countries, we learn to live better together.
And I always remember, we invited, to our first exchange student, we invited Gail to her graduation party. And actually, I don't even think I'd ever met her before, but we thought, I said, well, maybe this would be a nice thing to do. She had founded this, and our AFS exchange daughter was from Denmark, and she was so enthusiastic about coming to Chilton, and she had just a wonderful year. And Gail showed up at the party. And she just, you know, talked to Ann, and it was just, she just always hung in there and sometimes you don't see that commitment today with people hanging in with organizations as long as Gail did, so I really appreciate that.
Even when she was in her last days, she came to a meeting and said, well, now you have to celebrate 50 years. It's coming up in 2013.
Yeah. She pushed it to the end. Come on here, let's get a picture of it.
Jacket,
Jacket out of this.
That's my book.
And then, this is like a perfect.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, we can pay for installation if your people can install it. I don't know what they do.
They'd be honored to install.
Oh, okay, okay.
Eric, thank you very much.
Yeah, glad to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Very nice. It's going to be a lot in many, many ways.
Moving on. Number 6 on our agenda, consent items. You see in front of you, gentlemen, we've got an application for Melissa Weisskopf. She was hired as a housekeeper, and we will be adding her to the personnel approvals.
Correct. The board will see recommendations for resignation that Ms. Linda Meyer is resigning, and this Melissa Weisskopf was recommended for hire on Friday from Mr. Dan Tuck to fill that position. So if you approve the consent agenda, ask that you also include this hire with your motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent items with the addition of Mr. Weisskopf.
I'll second that.
Are there any questions or discussion on our consent items? If not, all in favor then signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on our agenda will be the superintendent's report.
With your indulgence this evening, I'd like to take a departure from what I typically do at this time, and that is to present good news about achievements and accomplishments of the staff and the students to the board and the community's attention. And I would like to address, as Mr. Wallman had done earlier, some of the comments that I too have heard as superintendent over the past several weeks since the budget reductions were presented back on December 19th. I would forever defend the right of the public to come into these meetings and to share their public opinion. And I hope that our public certainly feels that they are welcome to continue to do that. However, although I am superintendent is the title that I go by, I believe that at my very core and at my heart, I am an educator, always have been and always will. And so I feel that some of the information that's been shared over the past several weeks has been perhaps somewhat misleading, at times inaccurate. And I would like to take this opportunity to present from a superintendent's perspective what I believe to be perhaps more factual and more accurate information for not only the board to consider, but also the community as well. First of all, the topic of open enrollment came up at the last board meeting, and I see that we have representatives here from both the Chilton Times-Journal and the Tri-County News. Clearly, the topic of open enrollment is one of local public interest in not only our community, but certainly the Stockbridge community as well, as you have read and heard the recent letters of opinion and letters to the editor. I would encourage the two local newspapers, either one or the other, or perhaps a joint venture on the part of both, to do some investigative reporting and to provide to the community factual information about what this program is, what this program isn't, how it is expanding, how districts need to respond to this state directed program, and really give the public an unbiased opinion as to what this program is and isn't for various districts. I know, again, there's been letters to the editor, and I really don't want to get into a war of words with the school district of Stockbridge. And I feel that entering into that kind of dialogue through the letters to the editor only leads people in the public to think that that's one more biased opinion that's being put out there. So I'd ask for our local newspapers to consider taking up this request. Secondly, at the last board meeting, there was a comment made in this session where one of the community members indicated to the board that they should fire every one of these administrators. To undertake such an action by the school board, quite frankly, would be illegal. The school board is in contract with myself and the other 5 administrators that currently support the school district. And the board honors the contracts that are in place, as do the administrators that have signed those contracts and fulfill the duties that are requested through those contracts. So firing of administrators is really not productive comment, is really not something that at this time I believe the board could take as a serious recommendation. But following that comment were 2 other comments somewhat related. Not only should the board consider firing their administrative team, but then the board should give them the contract that the board wants, not what the administrative team wants. And another comment made by another community member was, the administrative team should not be setting their own wages. As long as I've been here as superintendent, which hasn't been entirely all that lengthy, the administrative team does not and has not set its own wages to my knowledge. It is my responsibility as superintendent of the school district to bring to the board, actually to bring to the finance committee first of the board, a recommendation for salary and benefits that I believe are fair to our employees and that the board can afford. And when that information is brought forward, not only for administrators, but for teachers, for cooks, for aides, for custodians and cleaning personnel, for all personnel across the entire district, we present comparable information from other school districts for the board to review. This has always been the practice that we have held in Finance Committee. So for a comment to be made for the administrative team to stop setting their own salaries is quite frankly false and inaccurate. Another fact that may or may not be known by the general public is up until Governor Doyle left office in his last year, there was in place what was called the QEO law, or Qualified Economic Offer. And under that law, administrators' salaries and benefit packages could not be any greater than the previous year's salary and benefit package of the association. So while teachers have been tied to that law, so have administrators, and so have boards in terms of what they can afford and what they can offer to not only their professional teaching personnel, but also their professional administrative personnel. And the board has been made aware of this. So in summary on that topic, the board has contracts in place, the board has had to follow law, the board has been fully apprised of the salaries and the contracts that it has offered to all its staff. And the contracts and the salary packages that are in place are well known by the board, have been approved by the board. Another comment that was brought up was in relation to the community survey that was sent out to the entire community this late fall in October or November timeframe. The district sent out a little over 4,000 surveys and received back just a little over 600 surveys in return. We had approximately an 18% response rate, and according to Mr. Bill Foster from School Perceptions, a 20% response rate is probably pretty average in terms of surveys responses. So we felt pretty confident that what we received is what one might expect when one sends out a survey of that magnitude. I agree with the comment made by the community member that some members of our school district did not receive the survey, and that is certainly unfortunate and was never our intent. But the school district purchases the list of addresses that we send out our school newsletters to, and that then we followed with our survey to as well. So it is not a list that we maintain, it is not a list that we have. Quite frankly, we don't have the time or the resources to keep up a list of every homeowner or renter or individual that lives within the boundaries of our school district. So this list that we purchase from the printing company that puts together our materials. And I believe they get the list from market researchers who may do floods of mass, excuse the expression, junk mail that you might receive in your mailboxes. That list we purchase, and that's how we send out our information. So when we do another mailing, I will inquire as to the accuracy of the list. We will see if there's anything that can be done to correct that, but I really don't know if there's a lot of chance for that, quite frankly. But certainly doesn't mean that we won't try. But I do think it's important for everyone to know that the survey was available for all those that wanted to take it. Many were given it, and many did not respond. Some never had it mailed to them, but the opportunity for people to call the district office and have one mailed to them was certainly widespread throughout the community. We had it listed in the newspapers, we had it listed on our district website, we talked to our local PTA and said, please talk to your neighbors and tell them if they didn't get it, contact us. And there were members of the community that did call, and we did mail that survey out. So every effort was made to the extent possible to get it into the hands of the right people. Next, I'd like to talk about a comment from a community member about the open process that we have held in regards to our budget discussions. Quite frankly, this process probably has been and could be done differently than it's being done today. We are holding it in a very open forum, inviting community members to come in, keeping staff members well apprised of budget discussions and budget reductions as they become known. And I know that in this open process, this can be painful. This creates a lot of anxiety among not only the community and parents, but certainly our staff members as well. I approached a community member not too long ago, and I said, sometimes I question whether or not having this open process is all that healthy. Quite frankly, the administrative team and I could work in my office and create this list of reductions and bring it to the board with little fanfare. But I don't think that that's what this community wants. I believe that when I came here as superintendent, the request was that we have a more transparent school district, that we have a more open process, that our community is well apprised of events as they unfold when they are unfolding. And so the process that we have is the one that we are currently working within. And I encourage community members and staff members to comment as they feel comfortable in doing so as to whether or not this is in fact the right process for us to conduct our business in such an open and transparent fashion. But one of the things that this presenter said is that we need to keep our focus on the students in this process, as they are the ones that are receiving the education that we are talking so constantly about. They are watching and they are listening. And Sarah Nagel on our board is good representation of that. Not only is this process important, but I think that the role that we play as adults in our community in role modeling how we handle conflict and how we resolve complicated issues is also an important aspect that we need to keep in mind as we function in this open environment. Our students are watching, they are listening, and they are watching the role models, not only in terms of the administration and the staff members that are here, but they're watching board members, they're watching community members, and they're watching this process unfold in front of them. And I think we all need to be aware of the important aspect that we have as leaders and teachers of the youth of our community. Mr. Lizaway mentioned that the board has received anonymous letters regarding this process. Quite frankly, some of those letters I have not seen them and I have not read them, nor do I wish to. But quite frankly, I am aware that some of them have made very disparaging comments about our administrative team. I don't believe that this is the way that a healthy community conducts its business. And I would request that all those who have resorted to letters of this nature would rethink that in the future. feel comfortable and confident coming to this forum, sharing their concerns in an open environment, and allowing the board and the administration to address those concerns as best as we can. I took down from my bulletin board as I was preparing my comments tonight a comment that I have in my office, that I hang in front of my office, and it says, we just celebrated Martin Luther King Day, and this is a Martin Luther King Jr. quote. It says, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. And I would challenge us as a school district community to ask ourselves, what is the ultimate measure of this school district? Where do we stand in moments of comfort and convenience, but where do we stand in times of challenge and controversy? I'd like to believe that in this open forum, we are standing in the right place, resolving complicated issues and serving as excellent role models for the students that are watching and listening. One of the final comments that was made last week was about losing quality in our school district. Our schools suffer. We have something special here. We have something worth preserving. Those are direct quotes from the commenter last week, and I couldn't agree more with those comments. In the past 5 years that I have been here, we have had over $1 million in reductions, and this school year we are recommending nearly another $500,000 plus. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of reductions. That's a lot of loss of quality. Not that long ago, I spoke to the school teaching personnel and asked them if they would consider a wage freeze as we move forward in these challenging financial times. And I received a challenging comment from one of the staff members, similar, very closely related to this topic. And I was standing up at the time, and I leaned my hand up against an imaginary door. And I said, sometimes I feel that my job as superintendent in this school district is to keep those cuts away as long as possible from those classroom doors. And we are leaning against that door to the best of our ability. But after a period of time, you can see that this process gets wearing, and it gets more and more difficult to do that without community support. I believe that what this community needs to decide is two very fundamental questions. Those are what it can afford and what level of quality school system it wants for its children and for the economic prosperity of this community. These may be two questions that are very related, but they may be not. Strong communities maintain strong schools that attract and support a strong local economy. It is all intertwined. It is all interconnected. I'm a member of this community not because I happen to work here, but I too have a home here. So I'll use myself as an example. I do not have any children that are currently attending the school district, but I have a vested interest, despite the fact, put aside the fact that I'm an employee here, I have a vested interest in this school district. Because if I want my property to increase in value, and if I want to someday turn around and sell that property, it's better sold if I am living in a community that has a strong school system with a positive reputation. If you don't think that you have a stake in our schools because you don't have children in our schools, I'd ask you to think again. Strong communities maintain strong schools that attract and support a strong local economy. Closing comments, I would just like to add, as we go through this process, I know that you're bombarded with lots of information, as am I. But I came across something, and I mean no disrespect to the Green Bay Packers. Believe me, none whatsoever. I'll preface my comments with that. But how curious is it that we're living in times such as these? The Packers sold 185 shares of stock in the first 48 hours of their stock sale. Stock came at $250 a share and a $25 handling fee. So $50 million was made in Packer stock in the first 48 hours of the stock sale. How curious is it that we are living in times such as these when this kind of money can be raised in communities surrounding us and in our state and in our nation, yet school districts such as ours have to consider cutting golf for $6,000. Where are our values? What do we consider important in our communities is a question that I might ask. And before I conclude, I'd like to share with you an article that I found in the State Journal on January 4th. And it talks a bit about this issue. I won't read the entire article, but a good portion of it. Now, don't take this the wrong way, Wisconsin, but you're graying fast. The median age of Wisconsin citizens was 38.5 in the 2010 census, and that's 2.5 years older than a decade ago. So what? Well, it's not just because we're living longer, which is a good thing. Wisconsin is failing to replenish its population with enough young people to pay the bills. The long-term trend is fewer working-age people to pay for everything from public schools and health care to government services for our growing elderly population. So what's the answer? That's complicated, but doing more to encourage entrepreneurs and education is certainly key to that answer. Wisconsin has the 16th oldest population in the nation, according to the Taxpayers Alliance analysis of the 2010 census. Our state also has a higher percentage of its population approaching retirement. But there are some bright spots. Wisconsin has more affordable housing than many states, a selling point for prospective employees and employers. And we are also above the national average for household income and below the average in the nation for poverty. Wisconsin will need to rely on productivity gains for economic growth, according to the Taxpayers Alliance. In an economy increasingly dependent on information and technology, a highly educated workforce is essential for boosting productivity. Wisconsin is below the national average for college graduates, yet even more important than an educated population is a match between job skills and available jobs, according to the Taxpayers Report. That's where entrepreneurs come in, as well as schools of all sorts, turning out graduates in high-demand fields. Wisconsin's looming demographic challenges are hardly unusual, yet they call for a renewed focus on encouraging more of the jobs of the future while graduating enough workers to fill them. And that is the challenge before us as the school district of this community. We need to continue to provide high-quality graduates to continue to boost not only our local economy, but our state economy and our national economy. And with that, Mr. Lizaway, I will conclude my comments. And as always, thank the Chilton community for their support of our schools, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for your report, Dr. Martin.
No report.
Okay, we'll move into old business. First thing, old business is the President's report. As you can see in front of you, anybody that's planning to attend the CPS board night, you need to contact Dawn.
February 17th,
By February 17th.
but the night of the conference is February 29th.
Okay, that's all I have. Next, we would have a report from our student representative.
All right. A couple weeks ago, we had a student mentors meeting, and Dr. Shade and Mr. Snodden handed out a handout about civility, and they discussed the different principles that go into civility and civility in communities. I brought this to our last student council meeting, and I talked it over with the members, and we had decided to share this tonight at the meeting. The top 12 principles in civility: listen, respect other people's time, don't shift responsibility and blame, accept and give praise, respect others' opinions, acknowledge others, speak kindly, apologize sincerely, refrain from idle complaints, think the best, accept and give constructive criticism, and don't speak ill of others. The student council members thought that this was really important in our school and our community, and we were really glad that Dr. Shade and Mr. Johnson had brought this up to share. So that is all I have for my report today.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Nagel. Next up on our agenda, C, before and after school care, Mrs. Schuster.
Mr. Leslie, we're going to need to table this agenda item. Mrs. Schuster's not here this evening. She had a family emergency that she needed to attend.
Okay, we will be tabling letter C. Next up then would be the WASB convention. Jerry and I both attended for a day. We must have got to Milwaukee around 9:30, 10 o'clock. Too late to really go to any session, so we went to the exhibition hall and toured that. And we came across the Chilton booth with Mrs. Moorman and the share people in there. I guess I really didn't know what the share was all about. And after talking with Mrs. Moorman and who was the other teacher?
Kathy Bergman.
They explained to Jerry and I how it works, what the benefits were, and I believe they're thinking of coming forward and they'd like to see it started in the middle school instead of just high school. So after touring the exhibition hall, the afternoon rolled around and I had the opportunity to go to the delegate assembly. And I know Mr. Meyer sitting in the back there, he's done this in the past. And it was a learning experience for me, never done it before. And if our Congress does things the way we did, I can see why they don't get things done.
You have a renewed understanding? Is that
Yeah.
what you said?
Yeah, when you put an amendment on amendment on amendment, I mean, it gets to be a little ridiculous. I'm just going to read, there were 16 resolutions, and I'm just going to read 2 of them. And one of them was Resolution 12-13. It involved open enrollment. Applications outside the statutory window. If an exception to the open enrollment statutory window period is created, the WSBA supports requiring open enrollment applications submitted beyond the statutory window period that do not include a specific reason for the transfer to the subject to approval by the school board of the resident district. And the rationale was the committee advanced this resolution to address pending state legislation that would allow open enrollment transfers outside the statutory window with no reason given for the requested transfer, but would not afford the resident district an opportunity to discuss such transfer with the family or approve the transfer. And that passed by a 257 to 30 vote. And Resolution 12-16 is rehiring WRS retirees. The WSB opposes legislation to require that if a person who is receiving a Wisconsin retirement system retirement annuity is rehired in covered employment, the employee's annuity shall be suspended and no WRS annuity can be paid until the employee terminates covered employment. And the rationale for that was proposals are currently before legislation to curb so-called double dipping, the practice by which a public employee has retired and is collecting a pension, then returns to a public job and is paid a regular salary and a pension simultaneously. The committee advanced this resolution to allow the membership to decide whether it wants to go on record opposing legislation to require that if a person who is receiving a Wisconsin retirement system retirement annuity is rehired in covered employment, the annuity must be suspended and no WRS annuity can be paid until that person terminates covered employment. And that also passed by a 198 to 81 vote. So it was an interesting day. Some of the resolutions really didn't have anything to do with us at Chilton here, but it was more with the Milwaukee schools. But like I said earlier, it was interesting, and I can see why our Congress wants one of those good things done. So that's all I have. Jared, do you have anything to report?
Well, excuse me, I did go with you on the delegation, and then I got bored, so I went into the CISA 7, which was a Common Core presentation. We had it, And I believe you, as far as administration, know that in 2014 and 2015, the test for the Common Core is going to be acclimated as far as put in place. And the question I do have is as far as I hope we are engaging our teachers to get on board with all the training that is required with this boost actually in the abilities for the kids to have a higher score. It sounds like it almost gives a grade average as far as when it comes to, or almost 2 grade averages when it comes to the score. So it was very interesting. And it's going to take a little time for school districts to catch up. I know we are working on it very hard, and I think we just need to probably work with CESA 7. CESA is one putting this on. They do have some things they're implementing to accommodate the teachers in this also. It was an eye-opener on that one. So and that was pretty much the end of that time, and that was it for a big class. Too bad we didn't have time to spend a little more time, but we had some good sessions down there. So.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Colby. Okay, next, new business, approval of high school new course offerings, Mr. Shea.
Okay, I'm going to go a little out of order from what you see on the agenda, just to kind of have this make sense. But Mr. Matt Wade is here tonight, representing the Physical Education Department. As an outgrowth of the PEP grant that we received last year, the FIAD department is proposing 2 new high school courses. You can also, you may notice as we go through these, we're also trying to introduce some entrepreneurship in the way we're marketing these courses through titles. So Waterworks, H2O for You, may jump out as a text message to some kids, and the Adventure Challenge. But again, an outgrowth of the PEP grant, I'm going to turn it over to Matt to kind of explain these 2 courses as proposed.
This year, I've introduced Adventure Ed 3rd through 6th grade with my swim class, which became FAST class, Fitness, Adventure, Swimming, and Team Building. I also do a little bit with the 8th grade health class, but we haven't got it into the high school yet. We want to make it available to the high school kids through this course. It would be an introduction to adventure education. It would be the low ropes. It would be the team building. It would be the high elements. With year 3, we will be getting mountain bikes as part of it also, and we'll be bringing that into the mix also as part of that curriculum. Again, working on lifetime skills, teamwork, cooperation, problem solving, communications, conflict resolution, to name a few. And that's what we're trying to introduce to our kids at the high school through this program. With the swim class, again, we're trying to meet the needs of some of our kids who don't have that opportunity. Right now, we don't offer any swim classes to our high school students in the 5-year program. Part of it because the pool frankly has not been available because of the scheduling. With the adventure class, we're not in the pool every day. I was teaching them first quarter and fourth quarter, we're not in the pool area. We're using that time with the adventure stuff. That would free up pool time that we could bring a high school class over and use the pool at that time simultaneously. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to offer for our students.
So do you get students that don't know how to swim at all?
With the young kids, yes.
No,
I do.
I'm talking up in like the higher grades.
We get some because of the fact that not all of them are students here from the beginning. All of our kids 3rd through 6th grade have swim class with me, but we have transfer students. We have families moving in all the time and stuff. With the H2O class, it's going to be geared more towards fitness, workouts, other ways other than just swimming lap, of staying healthy and getting in shape and staying healthy for your lifetime. We can accommodate kids who don't know how to swim through the use of aqua joggers or through the use of the shallow end, which would be a lot of what we'd be doing in our water aerobics, jazzercise in the water, Zumba in the water. If we go to the deep end to do water polo, things like that, again, we get the aqua joggers, which are flotation devices that we can put on the kids so that they would still feel comfortable and still be able to participate.
Okay.
Any questions for Matt? Moving on. We currently have been teaching advanced placement U.S. history for several years. Most of the time we teach it in the classroom with Mr. Byrne. We do some scheduling difficulties from time to time. We have had to teach it through the Cascade program, the distance education program. But Mr. Byrne and Mr. Holtz both attended a blended learning conference over the summer. It was a two-part conference. One was to get the blended learning trained and then to propose a course and come back with a proposal. So Mr. Byrne's proposal is to combine an AP US History and an AP US Government and Politics course in a blended format that we will actually market over Cascade as well as teach it here. It would run all year. It's for 2 credits. And it would be on an every other day basis. AP US History would be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the Government and Politics would be Tuesdays and Thursdays. We would market it through Cascade, as I said, and I don't know what the enrollment will be from other high schools, but theoretically, we will get some students from other high schools that will attend the class over distance education from Chilton. And the blended format is that these kids will be online with Mr. Byrne for approximately 50 minutes, and then the students from other high schools will have internet-based activities that Mr. Byrne has set up through Edmodo or Blackboard or one of those. My Big Campus would be another one. So those kids can do their coursework outside of instruction over a technology-based way. Our students would stay with Mr. Byrne for the remainder of the block and be right with him as they work through those online aspects of the course. The good news is when you're running an AP class, AP US History can result in 6 college credits that the kids would get, and the U.S. Government Politics test score could result in an additional 3 credits for a total of 9 college credits. So actually what we're proposing here is that we turn the existing AP US History course into a blended format, add the AP US Government and Politics to it, and offer that for our kids for next year. Somebody is kind of wishing maybe they didn't have it.
Yeah. First day of AP US History and I'm already home, so I think it'd be awesome to go year-round.
Is that ain't gonna add any staff to that?
No, as a matter of fact, we have to see what the registration trends are, but we're also suggesting that any 11th graders, you see that this class is open to 10th, 11th, and 12th, and any 11th or 10th graders or 11th graders that take this course would take care of their American government requirement that the board has for graduation. So we're thinking that we will be down a section or 2 somewhere else to put this class into place. None of these course additions, that's a very good question, Jerry. None of these questions or any of these courses that we're proposing are we intending to add staff. We think that the trending would be if we run an adventure course section and an H2O course section, that we will go down 2 sections with some other Phi Ed course. Same with the AP US History and Government and Politics.
So is that going to help as far as with the Common Core standards as well? Or is this going to help?
Well, the Common Core standards for social studies and science aren't out yet. We've had glimpses of science, but the only ones that are out are English language arts and mathematics. So
that's coming next.
Yep.
But I'm just wondering, are we getting to that ideal of maybe what we need to have for that?
Correct, yes, we are. We're working very diligently on the English language arts and the mathematics. Science has had some glimpses. There is a degree of a marriage between the College Board, which generates the advanced placement coursework, and the Common Core standards. So, and Mr. Byrne has, and other teachers who teach AP at the high school have attended the College Board AP workshops for educators around the state. They run these throughout the nation, but they always have like in Milwaukee. They run them. So
So Colby, to answer your question regarding the Common Core, and just to interject here for just a minute, last year we sent staff members 2 CESA 7 presentations to learn about, start getting their fingers into the Common Core. This year we have trainers in both literacy and in math coming to work with our staff, again, immersing them and getting them familiarized with the Common Core standards. We also bought a tool from CESA 7 called Insight that I'm not sure if they demoed it for you. We have that tool available. And we are currently waiting for the English language arts and the math curriculum to be released from CESA 7 so that we can then incorporate that as well. So we're very aware and are working toward making sure have it as implemented as strongly as possible by the time that the test drops on our door.
Yeah, I can just add to that. CESA 7, we're lucky to be involved with CESA 7 to be in their area. They're developing this and are making it available nationwide. This is coming at a greatly reduced cost to the districts in CESA 7. So we're lucky that they stepped up to the forefront and developed this. So
we've actually had 2 teachers be on the writing teams for the curriculum for English language arts. Mrs. Julie Visca from the high school has been on that team for ELA, and for math, Mr. Jeff Horn. So we have 2 local teachers who are deeply embedded in writing the curriculum that we will be adopting as soon as it's available for release.
And both of our English language arts staff and our mathematics staff have, we brought subs in for them to just come into this room or someplace and sit for a day and take a look at what we're doing, for instance, with the high school math curriculum. And let's compare that to the Common Core standards. Where do we have to make some shifts? Where do we have to make some changes and so forth?
this area, this district in particular, is way ahead of most. There's a lot of districts in the nation that are just starting.
And all of our language arts teachers and all of our math teachers have been going for the last 2 years for training. So we're on the front side of this wave. So.
That's good to hear.
Any other questions on the AP U.S. History, U.S. Government?
In general, in all of them that you present, is there going to be a minimum student requirement before they're actually offered? I mean,
Well, again, with something, yes, there is, okay? And I think we've over the years it's been 10, but Dr. Martin and I have talked, and I think she's asking me to hold in the 12 to 14 range, to run a section. However, that being said, over the years, when we've had a course of this high degree of rigor, and I've got 8, 9, 10 students in it, I may come back to Dr. Martin and the board if that's where she wishes to go for permission to run it, if we don't have that. The board has always done it over the years. Now things have changed, but when we have a course of very high rigor, we don't have a lot of students in it, they'd be able to run it out. But we are keeping a very watchful eye on enrollments.
But that's also why you do the cascade, so you can
Exactly.
supplement local enrollment with additional to make it
Exactly.
affordable.
If we get 10 students over a cascade that also take this class, that's revenue that comes into the school district.
So those would replace AP U.S. History. There would be no just regular AP
Correct.
US History.
you're going to come back for another year and pick it.
Contemplated.
Okay, moving on. Science 360, Science Around You, is a course that's been proposed by our science department. Mrs. Stephanie Bartles is here. Again, Stephanie and Tracy and Jessica went to a STEM, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics initiative over, well, it was a 3-day workshop, 2-day workshop? No, 2-day workshop last summer. Came back very excited. And you'll see a lot of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics introduced into this course, as well as literacy, as well as technology, as well as problem solving, and research and design of research. I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie to kind of walk you through the specifics of this course.
The idea came from a lot of the discussion that was had at that STEM workshop this summer, and there was a lot of discussion about the idea that, you know, we've got a lot of wonderful things going on with literacy. We've got a lot of really neat things that are going to be coming with the science standards that are out there, and there's so much technology out there. But what we're still seeing a lot of is that all of those different things are happening in their own little compartments. And there really needs to be a way that we can try and start putting that together. And I know the new science standards are definitely going to be forcing us to do some more of that. So the idea that we had was if we could find a way of giving students the opportunity to develop their understanding of some of the science that's around them in their everyday life through a couple of different avenues and kind of bring all of those together, that's what we would like to do. So we created a course that has 3 components to it. The 3 components are a critical thinking component. If you keep going, you'll find it if you want to go. I don't know if you do. You're almost there. Critical thinking component that is focused on the processes that would be used by scientists as they are working in their various fields. These are the processes that we go through when we're thinking about a problem, how we work through that problem, and how we could analyze and go back and revise and keep working on something. And the idea from this component was that we would have students making use of this concept of how they're thinking through problems in a variety of situations. The second component is the scientific literacy component. And the idea for this is that students will have a topic of the week that they will be presented with. And we will do a variety of things with that topic throughout the week. Students would be asked to write about that topic at the beginning of the week when they don't necessarily have, some of them may have some background knowledge, some may not, it may be new to them, they may have just heard about it on the news or something like that. And then throughout the week they will be posting to discussion boards and doing research and finding out other things about that topic, communicating with each other, using some of the technology that we have available to us. And then at the end of the week, we'll be asking them to reflect on what they've learned, not just from their own research, but from what other students have researched and shared with them throughout the week. Controversial topics, we're looking at students researching both sides of the issue and being able to share perspectives from both sides of the issue and bring that together at the end of the week as well. So that'll be ongoing things that they will be working on. And then the third component is an authentic research component. And what we're looking for here is giving our students the opportunity to engage in a long-term research type project. We are currently doing a lot of different types of labs. Most of those are things that we complete within a 90-minute block, or maybe some days we work on them over a 2-day period. But what we would like to find is a way for our students to engage in some type of research that is they are going to see affecting them, affecting their school, affecting their community. Our goal is to have students complete an application if they'd like to be a part of this course, and part of that application is asking them to rank a series of topics that they would be interested in doing their research on. And when the students that are then in that class get together in that first week, we're going to narrow that down. Maybe the majority of students are really interested in water quality. So we'll brainstorm what are some possible research topics we could look at dealing with water quality. It might have something to do with school. It might have something to do with the water here in town. It might have something to do with talking to a business in town and asking them if there's something that we could work on and we can investigate and use as a basis for our research. So lots of pieces with the authentic research. We're wanting students to engage in something that is a larger scale than what they've been doing, as well as involving them in either their school community or their greater community with something that they could be working on.
So when you were talking about water quality, are you talking about actually testing the water to see what
what they would have to do as a group is decide what issue or interest they are interested in focusing on. And again, I can't give you a specific because it's going to depend on the situation, but they may have a specific thing they want to test for. Maybe they're interested in looking at nitrates in the water. Maybe they're interested in looking at some other type of pollution. Maybe they're interested in looking at thermal pollution, something like that. It could be biodiesel. We have some students that are really interested in biodiesel production, and is there a way that we could be doing something here at school to maybe be using some ways to do something like that? But the idea is that we want them to take something that is going on around them and make it their own and do with it whatever it is that they think they can do with it and see if they can make a difference with it.
Okay.
And the final 3 courses come out of our business education department. You asked about enrollment. I do have to say that in some aspects of our current business education department, we have experienced lower enrollments than what we would like to see, and especially in the 21st century, with business being said. Dr. Martin talked about this over and over as she commented on the importance of our economy, local economy, and educating kids. So we asked Mrs. Miller to take a hard look at our existing curriculum, get on a business education listserv that she's a member of through all the business education teachers in the state and frankly in the Midwest, and come back to us with some proposals. This is an area where we will be dropping some courses that we currently have and be replacing them with these. But the 3 courses are Taking Care of Business, which is just a general business class on management, human resources, marketing, financial management, production operations, and entrepreneurship. Just a general overview of business in the 21st century. The second course is Web 2.0 Today, and that's designed to introduce kids to emerging 21st century digital technologies, to read and write on the web to its fullest potential as both a consumer and a producer of information. And the third course we're proposing is Web Design Basics, which is an opportunity for kids to use the Dreamware software and actually create and develop their own web pages from within a business context. So very pleased with those 3 courses coming forward. This is also dovetailing with the moving of the computer applications requirement to the middle school and replacing that with a personal leadership course for freshmen here. In closing, I would just like to thank the Bio department, Stephanie and Matt in the science department, and Russ in social studies, and Jess in the business education department. It's a good thrust, I think, of new courses for our high school that are needed by our kids as 21st century learners.
Mr. Chief, back to your taking care of business. Are you going to bring in outside businesses?
Yes, that's part of the plan.
If I can ask a brief description of the process you go through to get to these 6 or 7 courses.
Sure. In around the start of the school year, September, I let people know the course description guide is going to be prepared in December, and if any departments want to bring forth any new course proposal ideas, they need to get those to me sometime in October. The teacher usually brings that course to me first. We go through it so that I can get a sense of what that course is all about. We then meet with Dr. Blake and Dr. Martin, and we talk that out thoroughly. Sometimes things are sent back to the drawing board for a little more tweaking or adjusting or whatever, and then they come back to us a second time, and then if we concur as an administrative team that this should be advanced, it comes to your level. And remember, and it's going to be part of my report, I pushed the registration scheduling process back 1 month to allow for the budget reduction recommendations to come forward so that I knew exactly what kind of staffing I was going to have to work with. So that's why we're getting at this now. The registration guide is all but course prescription guide is all but complete. We hope to get that up on the web tomorrow, or at least by midweek, once
So
these are approved.
These ideas and classes really come from the building level then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
I would believe that probably will go out to other school districts to look at some other information for
That's a
something
good-
like this, or do they-
I know Jessica
Okay.
did. A lot of these courses came directly from other high schools on the business education listserv that she's a member of, but that's a good question.
I utilize the physics listserv that I'm a part of, and there's so many people out there that have so many things to offer and suggestions and ideas, and for me that too was a very powerful tool that I use for a lot of different things, but definitely for this. And again, for the science part of it, a lot of things came forth at the STEM Summit that we were at this summer. I mean, it was overwhelming. It was an overwhelming, but a wonderful overwhelming 2 days of this is where your schools can go. These are things you can have your kids doing, and that was a really beneficial place for us to get some ideas.
With us, with the PEP grant, we've had the opportunity to go to a PEP summit a couple of times, the state convention, the national convention, and we've talked to a lot of different schools who've gone through the PEP program, and with their 3 years, a lot of them have put the adventure program in. One that we really looked hard at was Toma over on the western part of the state, went through this, and they do an adventure program also, so it's based off of other schools also, what's out there and what's on cutting edge.
And the next step of the process, you'll see in the strategic plan that I give you that's got all the registration scheduling dates pushed back, is to have the teachers, prospective teachers of these courses come forward when we meet with the students to orientate them to the registration process so they're familiar with these new courses. And I would imagine you're already doing some of that in your current classes, talking about what's coming down the pipe for next year.
Hopefully what I hope the board is hearing from not only Dr. Shade, our administrator, but our teachers, is staff development, staff development, staff development. We are sending our staff out probably in greater number and of opportunities, but they are certainly bringing that information back and enriching and enhancing the programs that we have here. So thank you for doing what you do.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shea.
Mr. Lisway, we look for a motion in a second to approve these courses.
Okay, I need a motion.
Also move.
I've got a first from Mr. Burkle and a second from Mr. Colby. Do we have any questions or discussion? If not, all in favor then signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next on our agenda would be administrative reports. Mr. Apple, would you start?
Absolutely. I'd like to publicly, first off, thank Mr. Meyer for his years. Been here since '97. I came in '95, so we've been through this a long time together. And his passion for kids and our staff has been well known, as he's come to so many different meetings and met with our kids and met with our staff. And so thank you, Paul. And you can keep coming back to these meetings. You're a guest out here with us. So, we just completed our winter NWA testing for 2 of our grades, and we have 2 more to go. We'll be giving you those results in February at our building leadership team, and we'll be able to go through and show you our fall to winter results, what's taking place with our students in reading and language arts, as that's been our focus for our Tiger Times, our 30-minute intervention time that we do every day, and also report on our tribes and what's been taking place with that. So we'll show you some data and some different things in February, but I couldn't be more pleased with the effort that our kids have been giving, and the preliminary results we've been getting back is very good. So I just wanted to keep you apprised of that. Then we had a little minor electrical shutdown today during the 7th grade testing, and minor panic as the computers all went blank during the middle of their tests. So, and then right after New Year's, I had 3 young ladies from 5th grade come to see me. Maya Shalmo, Macy Pingle, and Jenna Chaussee, with an idea for a young man who's been fighting leukemia at Chilton Catholic School, Colton Brandenburg, and for many years. And I know of Colton. I have seen him. I don't know him well. But these kids, I asked them if they knew him well. They didn't know him really well, but they wanted to do something for him because he was back in the hospital. And so they wanted to do a little money drive and out in the hallway, and I said, sure. So we got him a bucket. They made the posters up, got him some bells, and they worked for a couple of weeks. And through the generosity of our students and the hard work of these other kids, generated over $200 that these kids went and purchased, found out what he wanted, and went and purchased some gifts and made some big cards and posters and things and took it to him this past weekend. So this was a gesture that I think comes from not only great upbringing by these kids from at home, but also the things that I think are happening with tribes, and knowing that we're in a community of kids, and when somebody else is down, you pick them up. And so I just want to thank these 3 girls, but also the rest of the student body who came forward and helped them out. I did get a phone call from Colton's mom and thanked us for doing this. And he was in the hospital at the time, and he was all nervous because he's coming to Chilton Middle School starting next year. And he was a little nervous, but then said, well, Mom, it won't be so bad because they know me now. They already know me. So he's a little bit better spirit. But I just wanted to give you that story of an example of some things that are happening with our kids there. So, any of your questions?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Acton. Mr. Shea.
I don't have too much to report tonight. I'll just tell you that we had a very smooth, successful end to the end of the second semester, or first semester, transitioning into the second semester. And we're going to tell you more about this and even show you some pictures next week or next month. But we had a real engaging, I should say, staff development experience on Friday afternoon. Rich's staff was up at the high school with high school staff, and we had Kelly Schwagel from CISA 1 here to walk our teacher teams through the construction of data boards. So actually being able to see where kids lie in terms of are they gifted, are they universal screeners, or do we need to be doing more with interventions and so forth. But we'll tell you, that's just a little snapshot. But that was really an exciting afternoon Friday afternoon. I was real pleased with the staff and the work that they did. What you have here is the adjusted plan showing the dates, target dates, all pushed back 1 month. So we can kind of get through this budget reduction process a little bit further on down the road before we start scheduling and registering kids. We kicked this off February 8th with our 8th grade parent orientation at the block and high school registration and scheduling. So that's kind of the first real big kick the can. And so we'll through the month of February, we'll be meeting with the kids in 8th through 11th grade and registering them at the end of February, early March. And then we head into building that master timetable for next year. So I will keep you apprised.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shea. I thank everybody for attending tonight's meeting. We will be going into closed session for the state statute 19.85, parenthesis C, parenthesis E, parenthesis F, to discuss administrative contracts, and I need a roll call. Gary? Yes. Eric? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.